When I was growing up, I was an adopted kid, as you know, and I was living with a wealthy, right-wing, highly prejudiced, rich family. And I got to know all of their friends when I was growing up. When they adopted me, the patriarch of the family, old E.F., Albee, had wanted a grandson, so they got me. They found me somewhere and got me. But I wasn't growing up to be what they wanted. They wanted a young, corrupt CEO or a lawyer or a doctor, something like that. They didn't want a writer. Good God. And so we were more or less at loggerheads my entire childhood. I wasn't going to be what they had bought, so to speak.
I'm especially pleased to welcome one of the most distinguished and provocative playwrights of our time, Edward Albee. I'm Barbara Lee Diamondstein, and this is About the Arts. The Zoo Story was your very first play, not written, but produced. You obviously wrote all of your life.
Well, I started writing when I was 6, poetry, novels in my teens, a 3-act sex farce when I was 12 and a half, a play in rhymed couplets, God Help Us, which I think of as a long and terrible poem in my early 20s. Zoo Story was the first play that I wrote, aside from those two. And I don't know whether it was useful to me. I imagine that Jerry in the Zoo Story and his environment comes a good deal from the environment that I witnessed working on the Upper West Side of New York for the Western Union, sure.
Kathleen Turner sits down with legendary playwright Edward Albee.
So you've had some serious reactions and to a lot of your work. Some good and some not.
Some good and some pretty rotten, too.
Yeah. I was thinking specifically about the Pulitzer Prize for Virginia Woolf.
Which they took away.
Which they took away.
Yeah, yeah. But that was okay, kiddo. I got more mileage out of having that prize taken away than I would have had if I just left it with me, yeah.
Well, you're not advocating bad publicity.
Central and pivotal play, Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf? I've often thought of it really meaning who's afraid of living life without illusions. Is that close to the mark?
Sure.
Who's afraid of Virginia?
Who's afraid of Virginia Woolf? Early in the morning. Who's afraid of Virginia Woolf? Virginia Woolf, Virginia Woolf. Who's afraid of Virginia Woolf?
Edward Albee wrote the play, the most acclaimed work by this controversial author.
Classical drama usually had man pitted against the world and the gods, but your plays mostly are about people that are being, I guess, terribly nasty to other people. It seems to be not only an important theme in your work, but for that matter, in a good deal of contemporary literature.
Well, I don't know that the Macbeths were very nice people. Certainly Lear had some trouble with his kids. I don't think Jocasta was too much fun to be around. I don't think it's changed all that much. I think
hoping that Virginia Woolf would become some kind of commercial success, and it was, and so I've lived out here ever since. That was 1963, which makes it 46 years I've been out here.
What's your job as a playwright?
To make people pay more attention to the things they should be paying attention to.
What do you think?
Like things like democracy, politics, government, their own lives, whether they live. Maybe I should start doing, for myself as a writer, improvisations with my characters. But I should put them in situations which wouldn't be in the play and see how they respond and find out more about the nature of the characters if I did that. Then I realized this was sort of, though different, the kind of thing that actors do with actors' improvisations. They try to find out more about how they interpret the character by putting the character in bizarre situations. So there was a relationship there. Everything I do is unrehearsed, completely spontaneous, and I've got to invent it as I go along. Now, I think playwrights should be able to invent spontaneously and quickly. I think it's important. I think people should be adventuresome. I think people should make mistakes, make interesting mistakes. The trick is making the more interesting mistakes and doing stuff that you may regret, but what's wrong with regret? You write a play, you're trying to change the world, you're trying to make everybody think the way you think. You're holding a mirror up to people. You're saying, look, this is the way you jokers behave. All art is there to change our perceptions and make us see things more clearly and more fully. That's your job, to change people. One of the things that distinguishes us from all the other animals is that we're the only animal that makes art. Our tails fell off and we invented metaphor. I hope that my plays are useful in that sense, that it tries to persuade people to live right on the edge, dangerously and fully. Because you only do it once.